Let's bow our heads for prayer. Our most precious Heavenly Father, be with us tonight as we do the business for the people of the town and for what this board means to the town. And be with us, guide us, and give us direction of things that are pleasing in your sight, but also pleasing for the people that live here. Forgive us of our sins, and for the people that couldn't be here tonight because of sickness or otherwise, then lay the healing hand on them. And be with us as we look to do the things that is really needed in the town. In God's name we pray. Amen. Let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, here, nothing else is being added. We had to do this because our budget, okay? Good one.
I just wanted to have time for us to look at these charts, because I've been trying to figure out why he needs an assistant.
Max is on the way. He'll be here momentarily.
I mean, it's been approved, but when that comes in, we will have that authority whether he needs that assistance or not. This right here, I don't think we can take it on. I think that we can consider this when it comes up. Well, I've got two people that I'm gonna interview, but the salary and the grades is just like organizations, just like fire departments.
I'm just not comfortable with it.
I've been married Mondays, 46 years, and we did do nothing. Yeah, well. Especially these days. Yeah, I don't have any friends that have, that are still with the same woman anyway.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
Yeah, I was gone yesterday, got back about 8:30 and called Max. I said, look, best of my luck, get back to, I haven't met the lieutenant governor. And I liked it, and I told him, yeah, I would be there, and then I wasn't.
Right. Yeah, nice good thing.
damn right it is. It is. Looked at all of this. I mean, I've been over it, I've sat down and asked.
I'm gonna tell you something. If the board wanted to do a application, and we were like, I mean, electrician, and we had an application, we found something.
The who?
You remember when we got up there, what's the name? Foreman. That was the electrician, when we retired.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he. I still get it. Man, what are you doing? That's what I haven't seen in application.
I know.
But,
But
what are
he's
you
back.
doing? I know
He's back because he never retired. His application, what he was doing was still up there. He was good. The very next week, if he wouldn't have done what he did, then he would have had to go through the whole process again. But we got to use that.
Well, he said he was going to try to hire somebody or something, and he didn't say anything.
He wasn't here. He was not.
I'm not
He
talking
was not here then.
Yeah, he's back. I know I'm talking about.
Y'all loan me money at 2%?
What,
A big chunk of money, you borrow a lot.
Think about it.
We got, the police department, the full map, the electrical department,
We can do that. Thank you.
and the other ones,
William's
we
back.
started out with 17, and
William's
we
back.
approved 7.
Is he back?
Yep, he just texted.
You hear it?
Let's go back to order. We got a guy on Zoom. Back. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Mayor, before you approve the agenda, I'm not gonna ask to have this removed, but I want you to know that I am not happy with this item A here. But I'm not gonna ask that it be removed, because time will take care of itself.
Well, we talk about the agenda now.
That is on the agenda, on the consent agenda.
I make that
Yeah.
motion, we approve.
All in favor, say aye.
You gotta do
You
it.
gotta do roll
Oh, that's
call.
right. Will,
Yes,
you gotta vote.
yes.
So,
No. No. No.
I don't reckon we're having a meeting tonight. Agendas,
Will you,
You still got
the,
Williams.
the agenda and the consent agenda are two different things.
I know. I'm talking about, this is the consent at the top, right?
No, the third one is the agenda.
Right now, we're just doing approval of the agenda as a whole. Then we would do the consent agenda next and someone make a motion to approve it.
Yeah,
So why is this consent agenda at the very top?
It's,
but you're talking about A.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
no, approval of the agenda is item 3. Consent agenda is 4.
Yeah.
And then A, B, C, and D are all the items that are in that consent agenda.
All right, well then I'll amend I'll vote on the agenda, but not the consent agenda.
All right, let's go again. Will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Holly.
Mm-hmm.
I approve the agenda.
Okay. Now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
All in favor, say aye. Will.
Aye.
No.
No, not
Okay, this. Now, what about the consent agenda that you don't agree with?
Item A.
Well, you
number
can make a motion to take A off and leave everything else there, because there's some things on there that.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we can take A, and that includes the salaries, grades, and organization charts. I make a motion, we remove that from the agenda, from the consent agenda now.
Okay. Will,
I just wanna know, why are we doing it? We've got to have some reason for it, and Maxine needs to let, because we had this discussion before, and the budget was approved with the salary grades and organization. The 7 jobs were approved. Now we're gonna go back and disapprove this, and that would be fine. But are we gonna have 10 meetings on this item right here?
No.
When are you
going?
going to meet with whoever we need to meet with? And so you'll find out exactly what you want to change on it. I mean, we've done this 2 weeks ago, and now we're looking at everything on paper, and I just don't know where we're coming from.
I thought it was put on this agenda for discussion. I didn't realize it was gonna be.
well, you can take any agenda on the consent agenda, any item, and you can say, I'd like to have this removed for discussion. And if that's what you want to do, I will put it somewhere back on the agenda, maybe next week. But it's just like Will said, well, when can we resolve it?
When I get a better understanding of it, and if whoever I need to see, I will try and make a point to see them.
Okay. So, what we're voting on is items B, C, and D on the consent agenda. A will be moved to the next meeting, and she's gonna, get with whoever this is responsible and try to get it resolved. Okay, Will, B, C, and D. Are you in favor?
Yes.
I'd make a somebody's,
Because Mr. Chandler had the motion to start with.
well, you had a 2-2 tie.
Yeah.
To, on the approval of the consent agenda.
But you can remove an item from the
Right,
consent
and the
agenda
mayor doesn't necessarily have to vote, so you can just say, well, we're gonna recall that measure.
later.
And I would,
How was it 2-2 when there's 5 votes?
Max is not
yeah,
here.
there's only 4.
Okay, all right.
So, just procedurally, and for Angie's benefit and the minutes benefit.
Well,
you
Max
probably-
is here though.
All right.
Hey.
These meetings are really challenging the municipal lawyers' chops here. So let me just say, so the action now, or item being recalled, I would make, if Commissioner Holly's inclined, make a motion to remove item A from the consent agenda and then approve it with that amendment. That would, if that's what you want to make.
Yeah, I would like to discuss it later.
Somebody needs to make that motion.
Will, what's your vote?
I vote to approve the consent agenda. That was the motion that I
The motion
made
is already
that
been
went around.
What motion's on the floor? Because Commissioner Holly agreed with me, but I would say,
You need
again,
a
for
new
the record,
motion.
make a
We
new
need
motion.
motion.
Either, or how you want to structure it, right? So, you want to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, you want to make a motion to remove item A and then approve it with that amendment? It's not for me to tell you how to make your motion, I don't want to put words in people's mouths.
You can remove an item from the consent agenda and vote on that.
Right, somebody just needs to.
Separate.
Somebody needs to make that motion.
Yeah. And I thought you made that motion.
I made a motion to approve and then she,
But it
Then-
got voted down.
It was a tie.
It was a tie.
okay, so what do you need me to do? Make a motion and
Not-
delete A?
Yeah, she made a motion to delete A and
Well, then
approve
it's
B,
her
C, D.
motion that we're voting on.
Yeah, so. are
You make,
in favor
I
of
would say,
that?
Commissioner Holly, you make that your motion?
Yeah.
That's your motion?
Yeah, that'd be my motion.
Now vote.
What?
All right, Will. You in
No.
favor? Or not?
No,
You voting against?
I'm voting against it because I hadn't got any clarification on why we're gonna meet on it again.
All right. Ms. Holly?
Huh?
Ms. Holly?
I vote no.
That
you
was
made
Miss
the
Holly.
vote yeah.
It was Miss Holly's motion, so she's clearly voted yes.
Oh, wait a minute now. All right.
Can we not just move it on from underneath the consent agenda and move it down to a different
That's what I
item of the
That's what I want
That's
to
what
have
we're gonna do.
done.
We're gonna take A and move it to next week.
I made the motion that
Well,
we
no,
move
hold-
A.
hold, William, just sorry to interrupt you. Commissioner Holly made a motion, it's been called for a vote. So I know this seems pedantic, but you've got to vote on the motion that's been made.
Yeah, there's a no, there's a yes now.
Vote
There was
to
two
just
no's.
move it for one more discussion.
There was 2 no's.
Yeah, Commissioner Holly made the motion that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Holly, you made the motion that to remove item A and then approve the consent agenda with that amendment as otherwise presented. That was her motion. Commissioner Chandler voted no. Commissioner Holly obviously voted yes, and then now it's your vote.
Yes.
You voted yes.
Huh?
She
I thought you voted no.
To have it moved.
I want it
on
moved
another-
off.
She voted yes to move it.
Okay, and then we talked about right now, I don't know what I'm talking about.
That sounds like none of it.
Just say yes.
No, we're talking about, she wants A, under consent agenda, moved to another meeting.
Or later in this agenda.
Well,
Or
but
later
the
in this
motion
meeting.
was to move to a different meeting, so it's another 2 weeks, so you have, and that's the salaries and grades in the organizational chart. So you've got 1 no and 2 yeses.
And so you're
And we have to
voting
roll call Ms.
approve
Williams on the.
to B, C, and D tonight, and to take off A until.
How you wanna vote, Max?
Tell me one more time. What am I voting for?
This is what I want to do.
You're
I
voting
want
for
to-
items B, C, and D
And
of
to
the
take
consent
A
agenda.
off of the consent agenda.
And
so
put
you
it
wouldn't-
somewhere else in the
Yeah.
agenda tonight, or 2 weeks, or what?
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks, in the next meeting, so 2 weeks from now.
And will it be moved to old business? It should be.
If you're going to, if we're
I
going to
agree.
discuss it, yes.
Yeah, it'll have an itemized there. What's your vote?
Okay, move it to 2 weeks.
Yes.
So yes.
Yeah.
All right, William.
No.
All right, there's 2 no's and 2 yeses.
3 yeses.
Three
Three
yeses.
There's 3 yeses.
3 yeses.
Yeah,
2
okay.
noes.
Holly,
3
so
yeses.
that passes.
Yes.
So that passes. Let's get on to this.
Okay.
Public comments, come forward, Deborah and Matt, with your Eagle Scout.
Good evening. Listen, I want to give you a little background of what we're doing and what we've been done. I know I've talked about it a couple times, but I don't think you guys have actually seen what's going on. So I'm going to explain it. This is on, right? Yeah. Okay, so we have a new outdoor open space. Last summer, the Benson Center for Active Aging Coordinator, which I've met a couple times, she's okay, mean sometimes, came to us during COVID and pitched an idea to create an outdoor space that not just seniors could use, but could be used by everyone. Community and Senior Services had funds through the CARES Act, Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, and the idea that came out was the patio. And as you all aware, the Civic Center had a blank space at the back between Benson Parks and Benson Center for Active Aging. That was used for dumpster space, and we wanted to make it something nice, so the dumpsters were relocated and to the side of the building. It turns out it's a better spot, so it's more convenient for us and the food bank and everyone. So CSS donated the funds for a 32-foot by 52-foot concrete pad at the space. And Neil Davis is here, and I'd like to thank him, Haley Williford, and the entire Community and Senior Services organization for allowing that. Neil, did you want to say anything?
Well, I just wanted to thank this council for your support for all these decades and helping us with our programs at CSS and the Senior Center. Home delivered meals could not happen without volunteers and the financial support that the town of Benson has offered. What you're seeing here is an example of a great collaboration between our organization, the town, and Parks and Rec. And the fact that we've got an Eagle Scout that's enjoying some benefit from this is a plus as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for your support for all you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll turn it back over to you.
And I just wanted to say thank you to Haley Williford of CSS. She did the legwork to secure the money for the pad. Matt Smith and his entire team at BPRD has helped me with every step of this process. My seniors have helped me prep the pickets to make them ready to sell. And the town of Benson for always supporting us. We definitely appreciate that. The community for always showing love to us in any project I do. And Michael Blake for adding life and beauty to the space to my vision. So I'm going to turn it back over to Matt. I just wanted to make sure everybody got thanked, and he's going to, and if you want to pick it, come see me.
All right, so this is the space that we started with. Deb came up with a way to make funds where you leave your mark at the park, you pay in a picket. She's got 80, this is an example of some of the ones that came back. Notice Loretta's got a shameless plug right in the middle. That is really well done too. Who did that? There are 80 pickets out, and these are some of the ones that came back. I think right now we have how many back? 60?
We're missing about 30 some.
Okay.
And it's an ongoing project, so you can,
Yeah,
at any point in time.
I want to sell at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 pickets tonight. Or Deb wants to sell, so if you want to leave your mark at the park, contact. With the money, she bought patio rockers. This is some of the starting of the furniture. There's going to be more. She's got a shade sailcloth, which I was a little mistaken. I think Deb said it was closer to $80. And then lighting for the pickets above. So a lot of that stuff, it's just a nice space that we're trying to, it was an old space that wasn't being used, and we're trying to make it a lot nicer.
And this isn't even near done.
No.
We are trying to, really beautify that area
With-
out there for the whole community.
New grass, either side, or we're gonna have all that, it's all gonna be done. But I'd like to call up Michael Blake right now for his Eagle Scout project. If you would come up. This is Michael Blake. He came to us and said he wanted to do his Eagle Scout project and he wanted to beautify our space. So we said yes, of course. Please do. So this is his crew at work. They came out and I think it was it May? Yes, May, right? And then they dug up and put in some benches and made some beautiful flower beds, and it just really adds to the space. And we decided that was so nice, that's where Deb decided she wanted to put the pickets, was above the benches and near that. But we're gonna try, if we can get enough back, we're gonna continue around. But, oops, I did something wrong. This is the finished product of what Michael did for us, and we wanna thank him, Michael, and we wanna present you with this certificate of appreciation. Tyler, do you want to get a picture? Yeah. Certificate of appreciation proudly presented to Michael Blake for the hard work, thoughtfulness, and dedication with his Eagle Scout project at the Benson Civic Center. Deb Cardone, Matt Smith. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it.
Oh. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, honey.
Congratulations. Department reports. Anyone have any questions of the police department or Parks and Rec? Old business, discussion of town manager search salary range. Ike.
So back to this from last week, wasn't it? After our marathon public hearing. I know everybody was tired. and wanting to get through just what needed to be gotten through to get home that night, so we could table this. Two things I really need, and it's not so much me, I'm sort of the mouthpiece for the folks at the Mercer Group, the search firm that you selected to get you some candidates to consider for new manager. First thing is, and I've set this out with the board before, I don't have copies tonight, I ain't getting them for you again, but there's a, if they're not in the packet, there's a proposed timeline that the folks at the Mercer Group have sent over. It's been some weeks, it's probably been 3 weeks since I sent that out to you. It essentially puts you, I think, around mid-fall where you'd be looking at selecting your manager. That's up to you how you want to do your timeline. So if you want to, I don't think you necessarily need a formal motion on that or anything. What I would suggest you do, if you don't want to play around with the time frame now as far as when they're going to be searching, right now they're doing preliminary stuff, getting the brochure together, the hiring brochure, and they'll start sending out feelers to people and start looking for eligible folks, taking in resumes, weeding out people they don't think fit, and then bringing them to you, and then you'll have interviews and so on and so forth, and that's going to take several months. You can always change that with them. I mean, you've hired this firm to find you a manager and it worked for you, so you don't necessarily need to approve a concrete timeline tonight. You could give me feedback by email or just call me and I can let them know that. But remember, y'all selected me to go be the liaison back and forth between the board and the Mercer folks. So we need to kind of look at the timeline and tell me what you want to do on that. But the biggest thing is they have asked me this specific question as to what hiring range you want to set in the brochure, and the advertising brochure to send out to potential candidates for your new manager. And I think the board in the past is probably, I'm sure Scott could tell me maybe, or put him on the spot, but there is something that may have been discussed or approved back some time ago, but this is a new search, this is a new process. I need to know what number range you want me to tell the Mercer folks as they're doing recruitment for that manager hiring range. So that's the biggest thing I need. And again, this is a completely old process, so if you think, well, I haven't thought about it a lot tonight, members of the board aren't present, if you want to just report all that information back to me, there's certainly no objection on my part, and I think the Mercer folks would just say, I'm going to need that before I can do a final brochure and start recruiting talent to be considered for the manager. So that's the biggest thing we need to get at some point.
So we pretty much need to have that, at least by July, because I see on the proposed timeline, they want to kind of finalize the brochure by the end of July. So I guess it's going to, which I know we'll discuss it at another meeting, but I guess it's going to depend on the qualifications we're looking for, along with the education, and
Certainly
if
does.
we could just see the last, the last hiring sheet for the previous manager, if there's anything we might want to change, what the requirements were, the job duties. Because a lot has really changed since the previous
job
manager.
description and duties.
Right.
Okay.
I would like to see the last one that we had. We may
Okay.
wanna-
I'll send that out to the board. Is there any other information y'all would like to consider that range?
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. And since we
Do we have the ability to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Maxine.
And, yeah, the salary range, because I remember, Commissioner, Chandler wanted a professional town manager. So I'm sure that would entail a little different salary, so talk about that.
Do we have any information pulled from neighboring or other municipalities that are about our size of what their town managers make?
I have not. All I'm doing is presenting to you the request from them at this time, Commissioner Neighbors.
Do we have the ability to pull that and send that to us
Sure.
in a timely fashion?
Sure. And the first thing I'll do on that, in the interest of utilizing the money you've already appropriated for the management firm, is I'll go to them and tell them that's the first thing is the prior stuff on the old manager duties and description. That's something we can get here on our end, but I'll ask them if they have that data that they have more readily at hand. And then if you'd like, I can ask them to make a suggestion, you know, or some things additional to consider. So.
I would like that, because if that is, what they do anyway, they could probably give us better insight and just kind of compare it to the old, sheet that we had for the previous manager.
Right.
So we can kind of compare.
Well, that's sort of what you're paying them for too.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Hello?
Anything else for that? I would say, you know, you don't really need a motion. You can just bring it back. Once I have that information, I'll send it to you. But then, once you have everything and a little time to digest it, either, hopefully by the first meeting in July, I'll have it all, we'll have it ready for, to come back on the agenda.
Do you think that, our July meetings, the first one and the, second one, that we could have something in order as far as what they want, so we can give it to them, so they can get, busy on what they're looking for or what we're looking for?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we probably, drug around on it probably, long enough, and I don't wanna put it off to August or September and us still having the same conversations.
Not
If
the
you find
recruiting.
something else that they need, I think you need to get back in touch with the board and let us know, look, we need to make a decision on this, and not wait till the next meeting or the meeting after that if you see something that they really need that you hadn't just got.
We're permissible, because we can't have meetings outside of the meetings, as far as approving the salary range.
Yeah.
If there's anything particular questions they have for each one of you individually, absolutely pass that along to them.
Okay.
But the items that you're talking about here, as far as information or data that you want to use to give them that salary range, the prior salary range and the duties and job description, the information on what other local municipalities are paying and their salary ranges, and then their suggestion as to a salary range, I think I can have that from them. They're real prompt in response. I think we can have all that.
How
done.
long do you think before applications actually go out? I know a lot of that depends on us.
It depends on when you approve that hiring brochure. So I think their proposal was, let's see here. Here we go. All right, their proposal was looking at input meetings during the month of July, finalize their brochure by the end of July, do their recruitment through August, preliminary review and screening of candidates by them early September. They approve their semifinalists by September 12th, do background checks through the end of September, the board interviewing candidates in October. I think they've got a pretty aggressive time frame as far as interviewing candidates, because they're interviewing candidates by on October 6th, and then appointment October 14th, and then new manager begin work in November. I did share with them that the board had discussed, although nothing approved, that they were in no discrete rush or incredible rush, then they wanted to move methodically and not too quickly for speed zone sake through this process, and definitely looking to have somebody hired by the end of the year. So, you know, when you say, you know, when do I think, you know, you'll have candidates? If you keep to this timeline, you're looking in October, September, October. So if you pushed it back a little bit, I think if your sort of general consensus goal is trying to have somebody by the end of the year, then you've got some time to play with.
Good deal. Thank you.
But theoretically, if we want to stick to that timeline, then if you send that information, we need to have a closed session to discuss that, come up with more consensus at our first July meeting. And that way they can prepare
Right, you would have, that would be ideal, Commissioner Neighbors, and the only thing I'd say is if you couldn't get down to the hiring range at the first July meeting, you'd kind of be doing some 11th hour stuff, but you could do it at your last July meeting. But remember, if you're a little bit past this timeline, you're pushing things out by a commensurate amount. So if you're doing it the first week of August, second week of August, then you're about 2 weeks later on all of these steps, as far as what they're gonna give back to you. Because once you give them things, they're gonna keep pretty close to their time frame in getting them back to you.
Okay. Loretta, are you interested in saying anything?
No, sir.
Okay. We go to new business. Presentation of USDA Mingo Interceptor Project. Steve Smith, USDA. Steve, you're the greatest.
All right, good to be here tonight. I'm Steve Smith from USDA Rural Development in Lumberton, also with us from our office is Judy Hunt. What we're here tonight for is the town has applied for assistance from USDA Rural Development, did a few months ago, and we're to the point, and that's for the Mingo Creek Sewer Project. And we're to the point now of trying to get it funded. And normally what we go through the process, we ask the board to pass a resolution to accept the letter of conditions. We just finished those conditions today. They have not really had a time to review it in detail. So really what we're asking for is to pass a resolution that would allow the town manager to sign on behalf of the board whether to accept the conditions. And the reason why we're sort of pushing it has to be normally at a board meeting, and the reason we're trying to push it so quick, our interest rates are going up July 1st. So we're trying to beat the interest rate increase. The proposed project funding, that's the Mingo Creek Sewer Project, it's really an estimated project cost of $6,363,000. The town has been awarded or a notification from EDA, another federal agency, that they're going to provide $3.2 million in grant. The town has come to rural development for the remaining funds for the estimated project cost, and we have proposed a package of a loan of $2,165,000 for 40 years at 1.5% interest, and a grant to go along with that of $998,000. So between rural development's grant and EDA's grant, based on the estimated project costs, you're possibly getting up to around 67% grant for the project.
Great.
So we're here today is mainly to if the town wants to pass a resolution, allow them to sign it, and we're asking the town to review the documents, and it is in detail. The letter of conditions are really detailed. It has milestones in it, time frames. So we want to give the town adequate time to review. I know now the money's not a lot, but that's better than me just asking you to do it tonight. So we're just saying, we did get the package to Kim, to your attorney, to the engineer, and engineer in this project is the Wooten Company, and they each have it. So we're just asking for the town to review it, and if they accept the conditions, then Kim can sign it on behalf of the town and get the documents back to us hopefully Monday. And that way it gives us time to get it funded or get it obligated or approved and obligated prior to July 1st, because on July 1st, that 1.5% is going to 2%. So you're saving a 0.5% interest if we can do it before the end of June.
Okay.
So that's what it is. It is just for this project, for the Mingo Creek project, and we've done projects in the past with the town, so we're familiar with them, and you should be familiar with us too. But so that's why I'm here tonight. If you have any questions concerning the project, be happy to try to answer them, but main priority is just to update you with it, give you opportunity to ask questions, and hopefully be in a position to get the letter of conditions signed by Monday, and so we'll have it funded. And when we say funded, that doesn't mean you can't back out. That just means the funds are there, locked in, interest rate set, and if some reason it were to fall through, you could back out. You wouldn't have any cost other than what you've already incurred so far with the engineering and so forth. So we just want to get to the point of getting the money set aside.
Steve, do you need a motion on this?
Yeah, there's a
He
resolution.
needs a motion for the resolution.
You have it, do you?
Yep, and they have it as
Yeah.
well. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to read it to them?
Yep, I can. So it says,
That the town of Benson on June 23rd hereby authorizes Ms. Kimberly Pickett, interim town manager, to sign and submit all necessary forms, letters, and documents to USDA Rural Development regarding the letter of conditions for the funding of the proposed Mingo Creek Interceptor Sewer Project. The proposed USDA funding package would consist of a loan or grant not to exceed $3.163 million, estimated project cost at $6.363 million, minus EDA grant of $3.2 million. This resolution is to become a part of the official minutes of the Town of Benson's board meeting held on June 23rd, 2022. So obviously, when we did this resolution, we didn't have the
You
funding
got
packet
exact
yet.
numbers now. That
Yeah.
was, when you add the 998,000 grant and the 2.165 loan, it adds up to be that 3 million,
Yep.
whatever that was.
Any
Yeah.
further questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the,
I make that motion that we approve the,
Resolution.
resolution.
any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
Roll call.
We got, well, we got to count.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. It's approved.
Okay, thank you. Just make sure, you know, your town attorney read those conditions, because they are detailed, and if you have any questions, you know, give us a call, but look at those closely, because they are in detail now. Their national office is giving us a lot more. We're trying to put everything in front, and so you know what all you have to do, time frames, and milestones, and, because we want to keep the project on schedule.
You signed it, Angela, we give it to them tonight.
Well, there's some, well, they got to read, well, you can sign, well, we don't want that till you get the rest of the documents in.
Yeah.
They need to
Thank
look over
you.
it a little more,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay. Consider approval of Reed Johnson to the Planning Advisory Board as an ETJ member. Angie.
Okay, we have actually on the planning board, we have two vacancies, one resident and one ETJ, and so Mr. Johnson has put in his application for approval for the ETJ spot. So I just need to get a motion to approve him, and then I'll have to send it to Johnson County for them to approve it.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve Mr. Reed Johnson, for the planning board.
Will?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
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 Okay. Approved. Consider approval of task order 4 with the Wooten Company, Kim Pickett.
So if you all recall, some years ago, we were accepting septic trucks into our sewer plant, and we stopped that because they were going directly into our pond, so to speak, and it overflowed, and we had some issues. It was the machines in there were messed up; they were clogged. They had to be replaced. Hurricane Matthew came; it was just a big mess. What we're looking at is we could potentially have a strong revenue source coming in if we would allow septic hauling back, but we want to do it the proper way, the right way. So what we're asking is the Wooten Company come and do an engineer design of being able to put this septic hauling system back into the plant. It would, since we're looking at upgrading the plant from 1.9 to 3.75 million gallons per day, what they would do is build it into so we would be able to handle with the expansion of the plant. But we've estimated just approximate numbers. We can bring in 30,000 gallons per day, 4 days a week. And if we sell that, if we do that at 8 cents per gallon, that's $38,400 a month additional revenue that the sewer department can bring back in. So we're asking for approval of this task order so they can begin doing the work for it, build the model. It would cost the town $30,214, which 1 month of running septic trucks again would all but cover that. So we need to get the design in place, and it needs to be able to fit with the expansion of the plant that we're looking at. Wooten Company is the one that's working on the expansion of the plant plan, so it makes sense for them to be doing this part of it as well.
Any questions of Kim?
I make a motion that we approve this engineer design to take care of this. I had looked at it and I've asked, and it's kind of a no-brainer. If we get the capacity that we need, and I know we don't have it right now, but if we do, this ought to be filtered right into it, because it would be good, and it would save us some money.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of places for trucks to be able to dump right now. They're septic hauling, and it would be done the proper way. It would go through all the same processes that everything else that's coming into our sewer lines into the plant goes through. So it would start at the beginning of the process as opposed to going right into the sludge lagoon, which is what we need.
Okay, for the vote, Will?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
William?
Yes.
It's all approved. Consider approval of pump station maintenance contract. Kim?
So this, in the past, we have used a different company to help service our generators at our pump stations that we have. If you look further into the document on page 3, you see items A through I. Those are all of our where our pump stations are that have generators. The generators are needed in order to run them on off hours. The maintenance would include, it's down at the bottom, there's several items here: lube, oil and filter change, replace fuel filters, spark plugs, verify fuel supply, check air filters, visual check on oil, water, and fuel leaks, inspect hoses, test coolant, inspection of belt condition, engine heater operation. The list goes on. It would be an annual maintenance, and then we'd be able to call them at any point if there's an issue. It would cost, you see the cost breakdown. The total over a 5-year term is $36,274.80. The first year was $7,815. This is built into the fiscal year 23 budget, which is when it would start. But we need to have somebody be able to come in and check those generators, as we don't have anybody on staff that's qualified to do that.
Any questions of Kim? I'll entertain a motion.
If you could, one brief, not to throw a wrench in anybody's plans here, is got no issue with the contract that they've submitted, other than, like a lot of these firms do, they have standard form contracts. It's got a form selection clause, and it's got a choice of laws clause in there. It's in the fine print, literally in the fine print under standard terms and conditions. It's very small. So the last one says applicable law. It says that the contract will be construed under the laws of the state of Maryland. It says that any action to enforce the contract will be brought by a court of competent jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. The town of Benson may not legally avail itself or submit itself to the laws of another state, because we are a political subdivision of the state of North Carolina. So I would say, if you're inclined to approve this, just approve it with that. Generally, these contractors will always amend that, because they understand if they're going to do business with the municipality, especially in this state, they can't include that, and they'll just change it to North Carolina. So I would just suggest that you approve it with the stipulation that they change those clauses to North Carolina.
And I'll make that motion that we do that. Making an amendment to include North Carolina in there.
Thank you.
Will?
Yes.
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 William?
Yes.
Approved.
Okay.
Consider approval of ordering small bucket truck. Kim Pickett.
So we have talked about this a couple of times, that we need what we call a squirt bucket. It is a small bucket truck. We use this truck it rolls out on every single call that we have. It helps with the installation of Christmas lights. We use it during tree trimming. It is used every time a crew goes out. What we have learned in the last couple of weeks is that in order to get a squirt bucket, it's going to take up to 2 years to build. So obviously right now, with the way the market is, what we're asking is, there's no money that has to pass right now. We will be able to do a leasing option when the truck is done But because it's gonna take 2 years to build, we would ask that y'all allow us to go ahead and order the squirt bucket, and then we would let the board know and we would have to come back with the terms of the lease agreement once it's ready to be delivered. And they usually will get in contact with us about 3 months before the truck is ready, so we can do all the terms of the lease agreement. If you recall, we have one lease that falls off in the 23 fiscal year, so we were looking at trying to add another one at the end of the fiscal year, but we know now that it'll take 2 years to get it.
Kim, I've talked to some of the guys in the electrical department, and they seem that they need this, and it would be utilized. And the only thing that my concern is like me buying equipment right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a year and a half out, and they won't even quote me a price on it because they've already had in 16 months, they've had 3 price increases.
Right.
So if we come up and say, okay, let's order it at $200,000, and that thing comes in at $400,000 or more, have we got anything here that we can?
What they've told us is probably with inflation, we can look at possibly a 10% increase. But at the point, I think once the truck is ordered and it's being built, if y'all decide to not buy it in 2 years, they're going to be able to sell it to somebody. So we're not tied to anything until we sign a contract. We're just saying, go ahead and order it as the specs are right now. So, like I said, no money's passing right now.
Well, I'll make a motion that we order the truck under your stipulations as far as no money put down. We just need to get the order in.
Okay.
And Kim, this is not the leasing price, is it? This is if you were gonna purchase.
This would be the total price,
total
correct?
price.
Yeah, yeah,
Which says pricing is good for 45 days only.
yeah. That's the total price.
Did you make a motion?
Mm-hmm. He
I
did.
made a motion that we approve
You
it.
in favor of the motion? Say yes.
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. William? Did he leave?
He said yes.
Consider approval of Ravenel to task order 3 ADA assessment and transition plan. Kim?
Again, this is a conversation that we've had over the last couple months in regards to the ADA assessment and transition plan. This is something that we should have had 2 or 3 years ago, but at this point, it's a definite need because there's potential that our PAL bill money could be taken away if we don't have it in place. We have asked our own call engineers, Withers and Ravenel, to give us a quote. That quote was $36,400. This is also built into the 23 budget, so it's already there. We want to go ahead and get started as soon as July 1st hits, and that's why I'm asking for approval of this task order 3 at tonight's meeting, so in the new fiscal year starts, we can start going with it.
I'll make a motion, we approve this because if we don't, we can get burnt. And I'm surprised we hadn't already been fined in the past on some of this stuff. I think COVID probably took care of a lot of fines that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that this is something that we've just got to approve and go with.
Yeah.
Will?
Yes.
Actually.
Mm-hmm.
Son. Nice. William?
Yes.
Approved. Consider approval of the Wooten Company Task Order 3, System Development Fees.
I skipped one, yeah, the southeast area study first, Mayor.
I can do that one if you want to go back and do the southeast.
Campo.
next.
Go ahead.
Which one?
Okay.
Southeast study.
Okay. I'm gonna come up here because this is a PowerPoint. The Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization conducts area studies to allow a deep dive in the local road network, multi-model plans, and opportunities in the smaller study area of the region. This study was originally done in 2017. They looked at land use and multimodal transportation needs of the study areas. These areas consisted of Wake and Johnston counties, and the municipalities were Archer Lodge, Benson, Clayton, 4 Oaks, Garner, Kinley, Micro, Raleigh, Selma, Smithfield, and Wilson's Mills. They also did this in coordination with NCDOT and the Upper Coastal Plain. The recommendations across all modes, as well as refresh policies and priorities, have evolved since that study. And so in February of 2022, we had a kickoff meeting to start an update to the Southeastern area study. So that's basically the background. There is a core technical team that would include staffing. So for the town of Benson, that's myself and Ms. Erin Joseph from the planning department. And then there's a stakeholder oversight team that was created as an oversight for direction and valuable feedback on the study findings and recommendations. For us, I had sent out something in March. For the board, it is Commissioner Chandler and the mayor. They're sitting on this. Sorry, this is not my presentation, so I'm kind of piece holding everything together. So if you look here in 2017, this was what their study focused on. The current study on the right-hand side is what they're looking at now. If you look at it, Pine Level was added to this study. There are 8 principal guidelines that they're looking at: travel and safety, active transportation, freight movement, livability, network connectivity, economic vitality, sustainable growth, and traffic flow. Sorry, hold on one second. Okay, so this slide is showing that Pine Level was added in the study for this year. So they'll be recognized. Again, I've already told you about the stakeholder oversight team, which is Erin and myself. We're going to meet 4 times. We've already met at our kickoff meeting. We're going to provide guidance and direction. We're going to be at public events as well as the commissioner and the mayor. And communicate information through individual networks. And one thing that Erin and I have already done is we've gone into this map that all the people that are on the CTT team have access to, and we've put in key things like we know some of the subdivisions that have already been approved and permits are being pulled. So we've put those in there. We've put the industrial sites that we know are coming. That's in the map. We've updated the map as far as the I-95 widening is concerned. Erin, what else? Oh yeah, the Cub Road Bridge. So all that stuff has been added. Is that everything? Yeah. So this is the core technical team. Sorry, this one is me and Erin. So we'll meet 7 times. We'll provide local insight, which is what we've done, institutional knowledge on planning issues. We talked about when we were updating them is we're going to look at doing an overhaul of the UDO. That's important for this. We'll aid in engagement and communication, and we will bring materials back with the SOT members and to the board. So the creation of the SEAS update is a collaborative effort with many parties involved. We have, as we've discussed, the stakeholder oversight team consisting of member jurisdictions, transit providers, school systems, chambers of commerce, community groups, and local and state agencies. Will work as a representative committee for the planning process. The SOT acts as an advisory board for findings and recommendations of the study. The SOT members also provide assistance with the public engagement and communication efforts. So that is that slide. It also states that the general public that reside, work, and recreate and make up the communities in the Southeast Area Study Area need to be engaged and invested in the plan development process to create a plan that is reflective of the various community needs. The local jurisdictions within the Southeast Area Study are a critical voice in the development of the SCAS update. Key stakeholders from a variety of organizations include advocacy groups, major employers, community groups, neighborhood organizations, and agencies will be engaged throughout the planning process. So this is basically where we'll have public meetings, and we want to get people involved. We want these business owners, these industrial owners to be involved in the process and give their public input. Elected officials will be involved throughout the update, and a consultant team made up of transportation and land use planning professionals and experts are leading the development of the SCAS update alongside Campo. So the timeline, phase 1 is discover. This will be a 15-month process. In phase 1, we're going to educate the public after a review of previous studies and data collection to seek input on vision, goals, and study area challenges. Phase 2 is going to, what they're calling involve. That's educate the public about phase 1 public input, alternative options, and seek input on potential preferred recommended alternatives. And phase 3 is consult, present final recommendations to the public for review and comment. And so they're looking at having all those things done by June of 2023. The public engagement plan was created to detail an engagement schedule and strategy, define performance measures, and establish engagement goals. The PEP is on the project website if anybody would like to go there and look at it further. And this is the project website, seareastudyupdate.com. This is an engagement hub for the SCAS update. It houses all the public-facing information, SOT materials, educational resources, and documents. The project website also includes an outreach toolbox, which is intended to serve as an engagement resource for CTT, SOT, and jurisdictional members. So that's that. Looking ahead at immediate steps in the next process, we've already had our engagement kickoff, and we've talked about main activities occurring in July. Let's see. Phase 1 engagement, like we said, this is the upcoming, so we're going to talk about visioning and needs identification. We're going to revisit and reevaluate the 2017 guiding principles, identify transportation and land use needs and opportunities. We'll be asking everyone to let us know where problem areas are, like congestion issues, intersections, safety issues, bicycle pedestrian needs, or places of interest to make sure we consider, for example. And last, raise awareness about the SCAS update. Phase 1 engagement is made up of 3 main activities or events. The project team will go out to 6 events in the Southeast area over a 3-week period from July 11th to July 29th and set up a booth as a pop-up event. These events will be geographically dispersed to cover the study area. The booths will have interactive activities that mirror the survey and information about the SCAS. An online survey will launch on July 6th and be open for the majority of July. The survey will include visiting questions, needs, identification, and a mapping activity. The survey and pop-up events will mirror each other to collect similar information through a variety of outlets. The outreach toolbox will be launched for the first time to provide materials to the STT and SOT and others for self-driven engagement to have a greater overall reach. And finally, these will be advertised through social media and email blasts. And obviously, we'll have Tyler involved as well as our PIO to be posting these things on our website and our Facebook page so we can get more engagement through that. The technical analysis will focus on state and region existing conditions, review adopted and ongoing plans, establish existing land use models, they'll do a deficiency analysis and intersection hotspots identifications. And that is all they wanted me to present. So if anybody else would like, on the board would like to sit in on any of the SEAS or the Campo meetings, I'll be happy to let y'all know. I'm sure the mayor and Commissioner Chandler would let y'all know as well. They get separate emails than Aaron and myself do because we're part of a different team. But as this continues on, we will attempt to update y'all as much as possible.
Our next meeting is July the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you have these meetings at?
I think this one is going to be in, no, it's going to be,
It was supposed to be in Clayton last time, and then it was a virtual
yeah,
meeting.
it's going to be
And about-
virtual again.
2 hours of the most boring stuff I've ever sat through. But I would probably interact more if they had a open meeting, but it was called for, what was the reason?
That was the kickoff meeting, and
Yeah.
we were all supposed to go to Clayton and do it. It was the day of the blood drive that we had here.
Yeah.
And they moved it to virtual because COVID had started kicking back up in some of the areas, and so
I
they
gave
moved it
blood
virtual.
twice that day. Watching that and.
I want to make sure I don't get none of it.
Do we need to vote on anything?
No, they just wanted me to give you guys that PowerPoint presentation. Thank y'all for bearing with me on that.
Okay, now
Kim,
consider
this
approval of
should
the.
finish up by next year, right?
July 23.
July
Mhm.
of next year, okay.
Mhm.
Consider approval of the Wooten Company Task Order 3 System Development Fees.
So again, this is a discussion that we've had before about system development fees. This is strictly for the Water and Sewer Department. It's going to help with all the developments that are coming in. It will help us with some of the costs to build out these developments that may not necessarily be in our fee schedule right now. General statute requires that we have a engineer sealed approval on this system development fee schedule. That's why we had to go out to our own call engineers to do this. Again, we have asked the Wooten Company to assist us in this, and it would be $24,800. This is in the budget already for fiscal year '23. It is in the water fund, since it's for the water fund, and we would start work on July 1. That's why we're asking for approval tonight, so we can get, again, July 1 happens, we can get the kickoff meeting going rather quickly, so we can get this in place hopefully by the end of the fiscal year.
And they will be working real close with Aaron on these.
I will have Aaron probably sit in on the meeting, yes,
Well,
but this will be,
I think in some of the water projects and stuff that we have looked at, Alan and myself, she needs to be very involved in this with the Wooten Company because some of your, I think contractors have some, they're putting in, they're putting in some of their subdivisions thinking that I'm going to get my water from here. And that really doesn't look like the best place to pull the water from on some of them. And Aaron knows all about who's doing what and what subdivisions, and then the Wooten guys, they know what lines can handle what.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure.
yep.
We need to approve this, don't we?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Any other questions? Will?
Yes.
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 William?
Yes.
Approved. Discussion on Main Street parking.
Okay. Let me take one and pass it down. The second meeting in May, Ms. Deborah Davis came to the board during public comment and was discussing parking specifically on Market Street. And so we were asked to go back and, as a staff, and look at different options for parking downtown. We looked at we actually did a parking study in 2018. And according to that parking study, we did have sufficient parking in the downtown corridor. But as we understand it, there is some issues with parking during the weekend. So what staff has two recommendations. The first recommendation is we could go to 2-hour parking. Most towns do it Monday through Friday, like an 8 to 5 situation. Since the issue at hand was more on a weekend, we're thinking that in order to combat this problem, we go to 2-hour parking 7 days a week, and the time frame we looked at was from 8 to 7. However, we cannot just specifically do one road. We feel like that would probably target a specific group, and we don't want to do that. So we're looking at putting it from Elm to Wall, excluding Elm Street, and Parish to Church, excluding Church Street. And if you look at the second page, I highlighted that for y'all so you can kind of get a view of what that looks like. We would not use the Benton Square lot would not be 2-hour parking, and the Tasty Freeze lot would not be 2-hour parking, because we understand that we do have business owners park in the Tasty Freeze lot, and then a lot of the business owners on that end of the Benton Square lot are parking over there as well. Some of the things that we have to look at: Main Street in and of itself is a DOT highway, so anytime we change our ordinance, which is actually Chapter 77, our parking schedule ordinance, we would have to send it to the DOT for approval first, since Main Street is a DOT road. And staff thinks that if we do this, we need to have a public hearing first and hear some public input on it, because this affects the entire downtown corridor, not just one specific area. And then we talked about who was going to enforce it. So, and Greg is here if y'all have any questions on this, but I remember when I lived in Greenville and I would park on the street to go to class, I would come back if I'd been there an hour and my tires would be chalked because police officers were going through and they were measuring the 2-hour parking. That is no longer, no, stop. I did not, it's still on. Okay, it's tired of hearing me talk for tonight. That is no longer allowed. The Supreme Court actually ruled that as unconstitutional. So we cannot go through and chalk tires anymore. We talked about at that particular meeting that a store owner could go out and take a picture of the car when they parked, and it would have a timestamp on there. However, we don't feel that first of all, they'd have to call 911 to get a police officer dispatched. That may not necessarily be the best use of our communications line, but once the police officer goes would be actually when the time would have to start, not the picture that was shown. So in order to do this, we would need parking technicians. We were looking at part-time positions that eliminates having to pay benefits, to be completely honest. And they would work around the clock 7 days a week. We would need, we think, probably 8 in order to get a proper schedule attained for these individuals. But they would be strictly responsible for mandating that 2-hour parking limit. But I want to make one note. If they get a parking ticket, that is a civil penalty, which we do not get the money for. It goes to the school system. So that's one thing. Another concern that we had was this is going to impact all the businesses in the downtown area. Again, I mentioned that most towns don't do timed parking on the weekends. It's typically Monday through Friday. Then obviously the cost of hiring employees, the uniforms we would have to have for them, because we would have to figure out a new uniform for those employees. They would not be able to wear your typical police uniform. They would not be sworn officers. We would not want anybody to mistake them to be a sworn officer. And then we would obviously have to buy the printer in order for them to print tickets with, and how they're going to do that process in general. And then the police department and myself had a concern with, if you can't chalk the tires anymore, you know, there's the logistics in and of itself of how you're going to figure out who actually has been parking at those spots for the time frame. So that's the first option. The second option that we looked at was at the end of Market Street, which this reminder that this all was brought up from business owners on Market Street. So at the end of that block, we had talked about there is a private lot. Could it be utilized? So we looked it up. It is actually split into 3 separate parcels. So there's 3 separate owners of that one particular lot on Market Street. And our suggestion that we would probably recommend first would be have the business owners that came to us go to the owners of that lot and see if there's a way that they can maybe work out a leasing option with those 3 business owner or property owners, that they could put signs up that say parking only for said businesses. And we would say that if that is the decision that they want to go with, then, and they are enforcing towing, they would need to have a sign put up legally that states they would have to contract with a towing company, and they would need to put that towing company's information in that lot. So if they did tow somebody, then people would know where to locate their vehicle. But that is the second option. So that is what staff has discussed. I know the other side of that public meeting was talking about trees. We're going to get to that, but we wanted to tackle this first, and we will tackle the tree situation and get that back to y'all in the next month board meeting. But any discussion that y'all, or any comments?
How's the police department feel about it?
Well, like Kim said, we've talked about the logistics of it. I don't know what the solution is right now as being able to determine who's parked for how long where. That's something that we're gonna have to do some more research on. I'm sure there's a way that somebody's doing it. We just have to find out who that is and talk to them. It's not as easy as it was, years past.
Have you looked at, I know Dean brought it up, meters?
We have, but I think the cost of those meters would far outweigh the benefits of again, the logistics. I didn't write it down on this paper. Do y'all remember how much I said a parking meter was?
If you did meters, do you have
Like
to do
$200
the whole
apiece.
town in meters?
I don't think you need to do the whole town. I think though, I think you need to.
I'm asking you, do you have to do that? If you said if you put signs up, you have to put signs up all over. So we don't, if we put 2-hour parking up on Market Street, okay, did you not say we would have to put 2-hour parking up on Main Street?
We feel that if we're going to go with 2-hour parking, it needs to be the entire downtown corridor. So we're not targeting one specific group on one specific day in regards to parking.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's something that this has turned into a problem in the last 2 years maybe, and I don't know how you're going to do it because parking runs all the way past Heber Johnson's Potato Warehouse on the weekends when the church is in session. And they can start at 10 o'clock in the morning and they can be there until 10 o'clock the next morning. Don't know just how much their service, but they've got they've got a big following. I thought it was the tree problem to start off with because you couldn't see into some of the buildings around there, and it was bothering some of the businesses that were already there. But you've already got one sign up, and it's grown into a tree right there at the Levison's property, or the town's property, right beside Jim Levison's building on the left.
And trees are an issue. Like I said, we'll address that. And then we took one thing at a time. Parking, I've heard more than trees since March, since I came on. Miss Davis came and talked to me personally I was at the chamber meeting this week. We talked about parking at the chamber meeting. It was on the agenda last month, but that meeting got postponed. So parking seems to be the more, and Miss Loretta's here. You hear downtown more. I mean, what are your thoughts? Oh.
It is a problem on the weekends, a big problem. If you, Deborah Davis's ice cream shop, they have a lot of birthday parties with, little kids coming in on Saturday. Imagine a mom, if she has to park all the way down the street in the, what do y'all call the lot
The
there?
Tasty Freeze lot.
Tasty Freeze lot, and she has one child in her arm and another one pulling. It's difficult. But it is an issue, a really big issue for those businesses. The leather shop and Roy's Western Wear and the ice cream shop. That's why they came to me, and I told them that to come to you guys, that you would try to figure something out. Additionally, during the weekend, some of the people someone told me today they get scared. There's two guys that stand outside and watch every move that everyone makes. And and this person said that his wife went out the back door of their store, which is on the other side, and she was watched the entire time. And that's not the first time that I've heard some issues about safety. I'm getting off on another that you asked.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out as well. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I spoke with one of the owners of the three of that lot, that vacant lot. First off, I spoke to her last week, and I will say that Ms. Davis did contact her in regards to doing a private lease, and she called me about that. This is the way I feel about it. I don't know if the rest of the board will agree. The town has expended funds on the Tasty Freeze parking lot that we do not own to enter into a lease agreement to provide parking for that end of town. We've expended funds at 301 and Wall, beside Dr. Rayner's office, to provide parking for that end of town. We've got public parking beside the ABC store across the street block of Main Street. But that center block of Main Street from Railroad to Market has no parking provided whatsoever. Before we get them into a private lease situation, I spoke to that owner, and she's willing to come to the town and negotiate and discuss the possibility of the town entering into a lease. I think that the town, as a town, we ought to try to get all three of those owners together and see if they would give us that land for a lease and us go ahead and spend some town funds to pave that parking lot to make that a public parking lot. Because as of right now, nobody has permission to park right there according to that owner. So they're using it illegally per se. So I think that's going to start to be cracked down on too. But I think that's a need. I think it's going to be an ongoing need as these businesses continue to change hands and more people move into town and fill these empty spaces. As far as the church goes, if I'm not mistaken, that's already a non-conforming use. So time, hopefully, will take care of that in itself. I don't know if there's any way we can speed that matter up, but from what I understand, in the downtown district, churches are no longer allowed, but that property's got to be vacant for 6 months for them to be prevented from going back in there. Is that right, Aaron?
Yes.
Did Aaron hear that? Yeah, so, I mean, I would like to see us try. I know that the one owner, the one that owns the majority, the largest part, and then there's two other owners, like you said. I know the largest owner is interested in sitting down with the town to see if we could work something out where that could be public parking. I think we should reach out to the other two owners from the town to see if we could get all three of them to sit down together to see if that's a possibility. If this board would be willing to spend the money to pave it like we did the Tasty Freeze lot.
And let me say this. The reason we suggested that the owners of the business to do that is because if the town does it, it is public parking. So you're back into the same conundrum that you're in currently. We can't say this is public parking for these specific businesses. It'll be public parking for anybody. And as you've stated, they're already parking in that lot. and there's no parking in front of those stores. So I think, we can do that, but that doesn't help the situation as far as people parking there on Saturdays and not being able to get to those stores.
Could you make that lot 2-hour parking without making other lots 2-hour parking?
We could.
Doesn't that solve the problem?
Yeah, we could do that.
Only problem,
But then
Matt,
who's
though,
going to
is
mandate it?
The big person that owns most of that parking space, it's being used, and William and I were talking to the same person, and she said, look, I'd like to do something, but all these trailers that are parked on that lot, I hadn't given anybody permission, but the other 2 smaller lots that go in with this, don't even know if they would be interested, but.
And I think
it's.
I think you go right back to, if you make it 2-hour parking, who's going to mandate it, how they're going to mandate it, and 7 days a week, 5 days a week,
Well, what my concern with doing it the private way is there's several other businesses along that, and I know that Ms. Davis has an issue. She brought it to the board, but if she enters into a private agreement for that one lot, that's not benefiting any of the other businesses, and then we're going to have 2 other businesses when they move into Dan's Furniture Store next year in front of us saying that they don't have parking. I think before we enter into anything like that, we need to look as a town to see if there's anything we can do to meet that need. I think we can put restrictions on the lots to keep it 2-hour parking, something like Dr. Rayner said. But I just, once it goes private, we don't have any control over it. And then when the next person moves in the building beside Deborah in 6 months, and they come in there and they are complaining about parking, we're going to have the same issue regardless. And at that point in time, we're not going to have an option to fix it.
Well, Chief, can I ask you a question? Have you had any have you heard of any concerns from the public as far as safety in the area? Have you had anyone report to you that they were concerned with safety in the area?
Not safety in and of itself, no. Now, is there stuff going on that makes people uncomfortable? Yes, there is. Is it illegal? No, it's not. There's been many, there's been some people that have come to us and asked questions and stuff, and we've explained what's going on. But as far as somebody necessarily feeling unsafe because of people they see or actions that are taking place, I would classify it as a safety hazard.
That parking is a problem. I talked to Chad Stewart Saturday, was a week ago, about them giving us the parking lot over at the ABC store, and he said he would consider that. He'd go back to the board and see if he'd do it. We've got a public parking sign up there, but we don't own that land.
Well, it seems to me like the problem is on the weekend, because when I go through there during the week, you can park anywhere you want to on that street.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think we're going to have to be very careful with this issue because it has some soundings that does not sound well.
I agree.
I understand that it's a church. We don't understand their religion. Mm-hmm. And anytime you don't understand something, then you're afraid of it. But if the chief said he has not had any criminal activities going on there, or people have been to him, but nobody has been attacked, then I think we're going to have to move very slow.
And that's why we had said we don't need to do just Market Street. It needs to be the full area. That's why we suggested that. Exactly what you're saying.
And just for future reference, Kim, or Aaron probably, the 180-day nonconformity, is that set by this board or is that state law? Where does the 180 days? Because obviously the point of the ordinance is to get rid of churches in downtown. For downtown is no place for a church. And so my question is do we set that 180-day forgiveness time, or is that set by someone higher than us?
It's set by the Unified Development Ordinance, so if a text amendment could change it, you could put it to whatever you saw fit,
non-conforming,
Right.
use, right? And so, and if, let's say that church, vacates that place, and then another church goes in within that 180 days, the use continues. So you have that opportunity for it to continue as long as another entity, religious place of worship, utilizes that space. But once the 180 days elapses, and the ordinance specifically says, as evidenced by the disconnection of the utilities. But to your question, it can be changed here at the board level to put the amount of days that you, or time frame that you would like.
Okay. All right.
One other suggestion that was just made by a staff member, we could do parking, if the town decides to go the route of leasing that lot on the end of Market Street, we could do parking pass machines like you would see when you go into like a parking deck, and a quick search, in that those machines can range anywhere from $2,500 to $6,500. So that also, if y'all decide to go the option of purchasing that or leasing those lots at the end of Market Street, we could go that route and put a parking pass machine. Essentially, they would pull a ticket, and before they leave, they would pay a fee to park in that lot. That would also get some of the fees back for the town as in regards to leasing it. But again, I don't know that that's going to help the parking issue on that street.
Anything else on that? So you get some feedback that you need?
Okay, I think what I'm going to take as the next step is see if we can get in touch with the other two owners and the owner that I'm pretty sure I know which owner that William is talking about. Get in touch with the 3M. See if the other two are even willing to lease the parking lot. I think maybe that would be a good next step if the board agrees with that. And not saying that we'll do anything, but just see if they're even amenable to having that discussion.
I would like that would happen. I would like that to happen. I agree with Maxine to the extent, though. I mean, as of right now, that lot, nobody has permission to park on. We can't control it if they do it illegally, obviously. But I also agree with you, Kim, when you say that even if we lease, I won't release it because I think we need more public parking. But theoretically, even though that uses a church right now, the members of that church have just as much right to park on that street as any other business visitors do. So I don't see how we can restrict that unless we just do a 2-hour limit across the board. That's not. I mean, because I mean that's just a patron, and again, I mean, when I have parking issues at my building too, and all of the people down our street have parking issues. That's just part of being. That's just part of choosing to be in a downtown building.
Okay.
So we'll do that, and we'll come back to the next meeting.
In doing that, I wish you'd go ahead also and do something with, I do think that the trees are gonna take care of some of this.
Yeah, and we're gonna start dealing with the trees next week for sure.
Some of the complaints that you're having, I agree with Maxine and William, but some of the complaints that you're having is there's a lot of cover there and not enough lighting. Go ahead and come up with something, take the trees out there that are in the way, in view of the ice cream and the other store. I think the leather place, that's what he was talking about. You can't even see his building because these trees have grown so big now. So if you take them out and go ahead and let's put pavers down on the top, and then if somebody wants to sit out something, they can. If they don't, then they don't have to. We don't have to go back with another tree.
We actually don't, so I'm glad you brought that up. So Tyler did some research. Everybody talked about, in the past, we've been considered Tree City USA. We've been on that list. Tyler did some research. We are no longer on that list. And for those that are not aware, when we were, if we took a tree down, we had to plant another tree somewhere else. So that obviously was a concern as well. You take it down, where are we going to put another one? But we are not a part of that list anymore, so we don't fall under
We started
that.
out with Bradford pears,
Mhm.
and look what the damage they did, and then we went back with these.
Yeah.
They were slow growing, and they look good, and people love Main Street, but that doesn't mean every street has to be lit.
Right.
So I would go ahead, and that may take care of some of this other problem, to go ahead and see what trees you're going to take down.
Okay. We'll do it. Thank y'all.
Okay, consider approval of budget amendment 1. Angie.
Okay, this is just a cleanup amendment. We're just trying to get everything ready, close out June 30th or start to. So this is our first budget amendment of the year, so it's a very long one, but it's a cleanup amendment, and I just need to get approval.
Does anybody have any questions of Angie?
I make a motion that we approve.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, it's approved. Consider approval of budget amendment 2.
This is for the power bill funding that we get each year. We just need to, move it into the project.
Make a motion, we approve.
Okay, Will?
Yes.
Yes.
William?
Yes.
All right, it's approved. Town manager's report.
So this weekend is the Benson Sing at the Grove. July 1st, a week from tomorrow, we're going to have our employee luncheon. We're going to have it. Y'all all have an invitation to that. We hope you can come. It is going to be at Banners Chapel Church. It's going to start at, we're going to close offices at 12, so it's going to start promptly after that. We're going to have hamburgers and hot dogs cooked by the fire department, and we're just going to have an afternoon of appreciation to the employees. Keep in mind, July 2nd is our 4th of July celebration at the Grove from 6 to 10. We are closed on Monday, July 4th, and Friday Night Hoops commences on July the 8th at the gym from 7 to 10. And that is all I have.
Mike?
I don't have anything at this time unless there are questions for me.
Board of Commissioners. Back?
No.
Oh, you got it?
You have anything to say?
Let me ask you something. The town that comes by and sprays, what are they doing?
Mosquito spraying.
It's nothing coming out of the thing, that's what I'm asking you. I watched it on my street yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was coming out of the sprayer.
Okay. I'll talk to Public Works and we'll check
Yes,
on it.
because,
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, it's not working. That's all right now.
Will?
I'm good.
All right.
That's a new graduate.
Mayor's gonna make a report later. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion, we go into closed session under NCGS 143.318.11A4 to discuss matters related to location or expansion of industries and other business in areas served by the public body, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body at negotiation. Got to say that other one too?
And,
All in favor, Will?
Well, he hadn't finished. I wanted to hear it again.
You can just say the state.
Yeah.
I'd like to add the statute number
There
NCGS
you go.
143.318.11A3, as y'all know.
Will?
Yes.
Yes,
Hakeem?
yes.
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 Yes. Will?
Yes.
All right, we go into closed session. We'll take just a short break. So come back.